Thank you all for coming today on this very gray and rainy day in Ottawa. It's been, all the snow has melted gladly, so luckily we're into spring and summer now, off to better times. So thank you all for coming. We'll be discussing today FileCatalyst Workflow version 4.9.9, and predominantly we'll be talking about TransferAgent in the file areas. I know some of you have been waiting for this feature for quite some time, so we can now finally reveal it and talk about it. Hello, my name is John Tkaczewski. I'm the president and co-founder of FileCatalyst. I have been actually working personally on the FileCatalyst Workflow project since it's been over 12 years now, or 14 years. It's been quite some time. The product went through a lot of iterations and pivots, and it has quite a big user base at this point, used in anything from media and entertainment to enterprise file transfers where you just want to send large email attachments to printing and post-production houses. It's as well used in several government deployments. So it's a very broadly used product. We've been improving it over the years, and here's another iteration of it. So we just made it even better at this stage, and we'll continue providing newer and newer features. If you're interested in some of the content I'm talking about here, go check out our blog. We do have a lot of articles, general knowledge articles about file transfer, file sizes, and so forth. Or if you're interested in past webinars, I'm going to be talking today really about the new features in workflow. If you're, for example, not familiar with workflow, as I can see here on the list, we have several new listeners that I have never seen before. If you are not familiar with workflow in the get-go, there is some past webinars that will give you a better overview. But today I'm going to be concentrating really on the new features we've done in version 4.9.9. So just to give you a quick background for those that are joining us for the first time and have never used the product before, FileCatalyst Workflow is really your web-based portal for all your file transfer needs. Think of it as a Swiss Army knife of file transfers. Whether you want to send a file as a large email attachment, or you want to submit files into a Dropbox type of solution, or you want to create an online web-based folder where you can share files within a group. All of this is available to you, and all of these processes is supported with metadata. That means you can actually create custom fields and custom order forms for every upload you make. So like this, the information you gather with the file is pertinent to the file you collected. We have also an automation tool with Hot Folder, where it's integrated with Hot Folder, so we can submit files automatically to Workflow. We do have an API as well, and we integrate with a number of back office solutions like Active Directory, Ldap, third-party FTP servers, and so on. So you can really take advantage of a lot of your existing infrastructure in your enterprise to when you use FileCatalyst Workflow. So the biggest thing that we will be talking about is really the transfer agent. So just to give you a little bit of a background on the transfer agent, the transfer agent, the first iteration when transfer agent appeared in Workflow was in version 4.9.6 that came out in February 2016. In that iteration, it only came out for uploading new jobs and downloading files as recipients. It wasn't available for file areas yet. And this is what we intend to fix in this version. So here you have a quick preview of what file areas will look like once you remove the Java applets. Just to talk a little bit about the Java applets, we've been using Java applets in this product for 15 years or so. And with the push now where a lot of browsers are removing the NP API, or the native API that allows Java to run within a browser, we had to make an alternative. We have to provide an alternative solution. So that solution came as TransferAgent. It's been already up and running with several customer deployments since 2016, and now we're adding it into file areas. The big difference here is that no longer Java is required. The user, when they arrive to a web page that requires TransferAgent and Workflow, they are prompted to install a plugin, just like you did right now for your GoToWebinar. You were prompted to install some kind of a piece of desktop application, and once you installed, you were able to see the webinar and watch and follow with me what's going on. So it's the similar process with TransferAgent. Think of TransferAgent as a small desktop application that talks to the web browser in the background and initiates all the file transfers and uploads and downloads. We have an application for Windows, Mac, and brand new for this version, we also have it for Linux. We support all the modern browsers, so whether it's Safari on Mac or Chrome or Opera, all the modern browsers work with this version. We have it now in the uploads, downloads, and file areas, as I mentioned, and this is something I'm going to be showing you in a minute. So let's go a little bit in the background before we go dive into the details. So I looked at the webinar history, and my last webinar I did was in January 2016 announcing TransferAgent for uploads and downloads. So let me just recap here quickly what we have done in that year and 3 months. So in version 4.9.7 that was released in November, we added video image preview. I'll show you very quickly how it looks, but it allows you to upload any video file, and Workflow will make a small 30-second low-res preview of it. So when the user goes to the download page, they can actually watch that little short video and decide whether they need to download the entire file. We also added TransferAgent as non-admin. That was something that was asked several times by several of our clients. The TransferAgent needs to run as a non-admin for installing. And we did that in 4.9.7. And we added also strict security. So as the product evolves, we do the number of different security tests, and one of them showed that we needed added a stricter security policy for uploading and downloading. The strict security only works with FileCatalyst servers. So for those of you that use only FTP or third-party FTP servers, you cannot do strict security. But it completely isolates each upload and download from the server, so no one can really ever get into the root of the FTP server, or all these problems with the highly secure uploads are gone. So once again, this is an option that has to be enabled. It's not there by default because some of you are still using third-party FTP servers, but this is something there available for you, and we encourage you to migrate to that option. We also made a number of Ldap and Active Directory improvements. A lot of Active Directory enterprises using Active Directory are moving away from where, when you authenticate as a user object, we cannot query on that user object. So we can only say whether it was the username and password were good, but we cannot find any information from when we log in as that user. So we had to add something called like a proxy Ldap AD account. So the proxy account will log in, will query the user object, like which groups, first name, last name, and all that stuff, and then we know what the user object is. And then for authentication, we just bind and authenticate the user with their account. So it's a two-step process. It's becoming very popular in a lot of enterprises, and that's something we added as well in 4.9.7. 4.9.8 was a very quick update. There wasn't much changes. We added support for iPhone and iPad. So with the most recent version of iPhone and iPad, you can now actually do uploads from the web page. Before, you had to go into iTunes, then download your content, and then post it somewhere. So I think this is in the more recent version of iOS. They allowed now ability to upload directly from your camera roll, for example, files into the system. So we added that. And we, once again, had some cross-site scripting vulnerabilities that we addressed. Once again, we do, regular scans of our product and check for security problems and fix them as addressed. So the big thing is important is just to, please keep in up to date. It's you don't necessarily have to do every single version, but please watch out what's in the release notes, and if it says that it's recommended to upgrade, please upgrade. In 4.9.9, this is what we released about 3 weeks ago. On April 4th, TransferAgent was added for file areas. That was the big feature I'll be talking about today. We added TransferAgent on Linux, and we added ability to embed order forms in iframes. I will show you a demo of this, but it allows you to create your own web page and embed a FileCatalyst workflow form in it and then you can design it the way you want it and put your own style and all that stuff. And then we added also CSRF protection onto the forms. So once again, this is another security addition we've added to 4.9.9. So what can you, moving forward, before I start with the demo, well, you can go to our blog. I have a blog about how video preview works. I have, you can go to TransferAgent product page here and read up a bit more about TransferAgent, what it is and how it works. And you can, of course, go anytime to our release notes and see exactly what was changed from version to version. If you have any questions during my demonstration, my presentation, please enter it into the GoToWebinar questions chat window, and I will get to them at the end of my on my presentation. So let's get started here. So first of all, what I'm going to do, you're all familiar with the login page of FileCatalyst Workflow. Some of you may have customized the login page, so it might look completely different than it is here, but this is the sort of the default version. So I'm just going to log in here as a regular user. And first time when I log in, I see all my existing jobs. I can add, remove columns I want to see, what I sent, and now I'm just going to go to file area. So once the file area starts, you can see here that my TransferAgent is starting up right now. And once the TransferAgent starts, it gets placed in my system tray icon. Over here you can see a little icon, the TransferAgent icon, and I now see all the files running. If TransferAgent wasn't installed, the web page would ask me to download and install TransferAgent before moving forward. Like here I already have it, so it's just launched it and started it. So when I'm on this page here, what can I do? Well, I can go into so browse my local directories. Let's say my documents here, and I can grab a file and I can transfer it. So you can see here, you still have, like, the applet had the server messages, so it helps figuring out what the problems are, and you can see the transfer finished, and here are the files. I have the same information I had before with the applets, where I can see all the information about the files, and I can upload multiple files as well. All I have to do is just do a use shift and control keys, and now I can upload 2 files at once, or I can upload folders as well, same fashion. So you can see here that applets actually transfer 2 at a time. As one file finishes, there's always 2 files going at the same time. This is something you can configure. We ship it out of the box with 2 concurrent transfers at once. Of course, if you boost it up to 4 or 5, then it just requires a little bit more power on the server. We find 2 was actually giving us pretty good speeds without taxing the CPU on the server side, because once, if you get all these users connecting and they're all transferring 5 files at the same time, it just adds extra CPU cycles on your server. So we kind of ship it out with a default of 2, but this easily can be changed to a higher number if you have heavy users. So once the files are sent into file area, I can, log in from any web page and grab these files and download them. But what I wanted to show you here is the feature has been also there before. I can select my 2 files. I can click on Send Selected Files, and now I can select which order form I want to send these files to. So this is in a sense the same way as before, when you can just go into a new job and upload a file, upload the files with your job. But here, instead of uploading files, I'm selecting files that are sitting on a server already. And now I can just enter my user information. Here's the autocomplete that pops up. That's, by the way, also can be connected to Ldap. And now I can just hit finish. So I don't have to really upload files because they were already in my file area. So this allows, more flexibility for the users. They can upload very large files, leave it going, and then submit once they're happy that all the files have made it to the server. Once the files have been sent, just like you do with the regular uploads with the new job, I get a link here and I can click on the download link, and here are the files I just sent through my file area. So as you can see here, there's actually, you can see the video preview, which I wanted to touch base on, so you can watch here. And if I play this, I don't know if you're gonna see this, but so you can see here, you can see play it. Same thing on this one. I can just play and maximize it. I can fast forward as well. All of this is available in the preview, and you can control the length of the preview and the quality of it. On the server side, we keep the video preview pretty small. I mean, if I do a full size, you will see that it's pretty grainy, but that's the point of the preview. Now, if I want to download these files, I can download the files individually. Or I can just click on download all files, and those files will be downloaded into my downloads folder. So if I click here, and you can see here here's my downloads folder, and here's the files I just sent, and I can now use them. So this is the basic use of file area. So you can see I can store files, I can share files through order forms, I can download files from any web browser. I do need the TransferAgent running in the background here. So this is what I can do. Yeah, let me just go here through the TransferAgent, some of the TransferAgent options once the user has installed the TransferAgent. So first of all, what they see here is the basics. What is your download path, which they can change. They can specify what the reports and the logs are. And the new thing in this TransferAgent is that you can run it at startup. You can set it up at startup. Here it's grayed out because I'm running TransferAgent not as admin. So in order for it to be able to set up a service, you have to run TransferAgent as admin. In this case, it wasn't. So if someone needs to have a service running, they would have to right-click on the executable and say run as admin, and then the service would be available to them. Central management, this is the configuration. There's another webinar I've done on Central. You can see that you can connect TransferAgent into our Central product, which allows you to do a big global distribution of files and controlling files remotely where they go. But this is something that's available as well. Origins, this is the security aspect of it. So every time TransferAgent is loaded from a new web page that has never been seen before, the TransferAgent is going to prompt the user, are you sure you want to run these files? Because as soon as they say yes, then the JavaScript, the web page has access to browse the files and upload the files and so on. So that's why we have that allowed origins that was added. Virtual paths, this is an added security as well. So if the users don't feel at ease to show everything, they can limit what directories are browsable through the web. So for example, I could add only my downloads folder to the web and nothing else. So like this, no one can really limit this. So these are some of the options in the TransferAgent. So let's go back here into Workflow, and let me show you some advanced features we added with the file areas. By the way, all these features were already there with Applets. All we did, we just ported this functionality into the TransferAgent. So I'm going to go into groups. I'm going to show you a couple of group examples here. So I created a group folder here called group example. I ticked a shared folder because it's a shared folder. I assigned it a path, which is group example / group example. I selected which order forms, and I set the permissions, download only or upload only. So in this case, I gave it both permissions, and then I added events. So if there is a new upload, for example, everybody in this group will be notified that something was uploaded to the group. So this is the first group. The second group is pretty much identical to the first one with the same path, the only difference is here it's download only. So, and I called it group example read only. So some users might be only allowed to download from the group, others might be able to upload and download. And once again, I created which order form this group can use as well. So how does this will look? So I added one user here right now. The only user in here is really the same user I just showed you. So I'm going to log in as that user. And I'm going to click on, so here are my two group file areas. There's group file area for group example and group file area for group example read only. So if I click on group file area, as you can see, now I'm in that group folder that anybody that is part of this group can upload and download files to. And I can, for example, upload a file here. And as you can see here, the file transfer is now going, and I'm uploading the file to this group area. So once the files are uploaded here, I can do the same thing as I did before. I have the send selected files. In the same fashion as I did my file area, I can send files via email. I can even share entire folders if I wanted to with the world and with my group. The functionality of notifying what was uploaded is visible through here. So if I go into this page here, I can see exactly what was uploaded and when to this group. You can see that these files were uploaded, when the folder was created, and so forth. If something new is uploaded as well, the email is fired off. And you can see here, here's the file I just uploaded. And it shows me the changes were uploaded, and you can see here the group example. So every time someone uploads, deletes, you can decide which actions you want. Everybody in the group will be notified that something new arrived or is ready to pick up. You can do this with the number of groups, and I can always review what was the functionality. There's a switch to say how long you want to keep this information. By default, I think it's set to 15 days. But you can play around with that and change it to something longer. But this group functionality is great for people that need to group work groups that are geographically dispersed and need to share very large files quickly and easily. So for example, you want to share a 10 gig file, you can put it in a group area, assign to users, and they can collaborate and work on that file easily. So it's imagine this is like a corporate Dropbox for very, very large files, and with acceleration built in, and so on. So this is how the read and write group LER looks. If I go to group file area group example read only, that one, remember, I was set to the same folder, so you can see the same files, but here I can only download. So from this group I can only download files. So this gives you the ability to fine-grained control who has access to what. And because this all just maps to an actual path on the server, you can create folders higher or lower. So if you have, for example, a project list, and some users might have to have access to all the projects, you make a group folder called all projects, and under that all projects folder you have project A, project B, project C, and so on. At the same time, if there is somebody that just needs access to project A, well, you just add them to that folder and create. So all of this was already in with the applets. This is nothing new. It's just now it's all working with TransferAgent, and you can see here that you can flip. So my file area is personal. Group allows you to create different types of groups, read only or both, upload or download, and tracks all the changes, and as well emails all the changes if something new arrives. So that's pretty much for file areas. If I just wanted to show you one more feature here, and that's the iframe stuff. So in version 4.9.9 we added ability to create iframes. So let me, for those that are not familiar with HTML, I'm just going to explain this page here. So here's a very simple HTML page I've done. I created a HTML document with an empty head, a body with an iframe test here, and an iframe. The source of the iframe is actually the form in workflow. So it's the full URL of workflow with question mark form equals some form. And then you can of course set specific styles and all that stuff, because this is your in HTML here. You can create whatever you want. Now if I go into workflow here and I go to order forms, here's my distribution iframe. So see, this is the permalink for anonymous. This is actually the link that I copy and pasted into my iframe document. And by the way, all of this is documented in the documentation for workflow, but this is really just the URL for the iframe. And what I checked here, I checked out, for example, custom CSS. So I assigned it a custom background color to like a light gray, so we could differentiate it. I can also assign it to force form upload. So now I can tell anybody who's using this form never to use transfer agents. So for those users that need to, for example, send files and you don't necessarily want them to install a transfer agent, you can force uploads to use only like an HTML native uploader. And once they click this, once they use this, they don't need transfer agent, they don't need anything. Of course, they will not have acceleration. There will be a file size limit of probably somewhere around 1.8 to 2 gigs. It's just a web browser. When you upload, we don't have ability to resume and retry and all that stuff. You need transfer agent to do all this advanced functionality. Also, you don't have an MD5 checksum if you use the form upload. But for those users that do smaller uploads and you don't necessarily want to force them to always install transfer agent, you have the ability to do form upload. And once again, form upload has been around probably for the last 14 years on the product. Since day one, we had form upload. We just now exposed this functionality on the form. So, so I created this specific form. The form has the following fields: has distribution, recipient email, so I can type in some recipient and a message. So now let me go to, ideally when you're working with this type of stuff, when you're doing some HTML, when you're coding some HTML and trying different things, I recommend that you load up everything in one browser. So here I'm using Chrome for my administration, so I can make settings, but I'm actually going to be doing all the tests in Firefox, so my sessions don't get crossed over, because very often you're testing and then you end up with the wrong session because now you're trying to do a anonymous upload while you're logged in as super admin, and you get weird results. So I always recommend for this type of applications to have two browsers installed. In one you're making your changes, in the other one you're looking how the end user would see things. So I go to this iframe test. So this is this document, and you can see here, here's my embedded form. I can now type in here who I'm the sender, and you can point it to any form. So it doesn't have to be a form of recipient email. It could be a form that is just ingests or takes in information. I'm just doing here an example. So I'm going to send this to and here are the files. Now I'm going to click on upload. And because it's all embedded into your own HTML, you can control everything. You can do headers, footers, apply CSS within the frame itself. Everything is allowed to you for you to do. So here I'm going to select the file and click on Start Upload. So see, this is the native form upload that does not require transfer agent or any plugins, and the upload is complete. Now this send out a new email. So if I just go into my emails here and I click on this email, there it is, my file that was sent from that specific form. And again, I have the preview and so forth. So you can see this is all available to you, this new way of doing things. So that pretty much concludes my presentation for today. That's all I wanted to show you. Thank you all for coming. I will let me stop this video and we'll take some questions.